legit hashtags. Dev indie dev. That's legit hashtags. Yay. Alright. Do we have we have a video. Alright. Cool guys. It's all yours.
Environment stream. So when we initially started Raji, so our first initial thought about Raji was we wanted to put India on the map, and also if we just since we today just going to talk about the art, the environment part, so we really wanted to put the Indian architecture out there, which is really grandeur, got lots of color, beautiful intricate designs which you can see here, and so we wanted to put it out there in games which we've never seen before because until now the Plus Legacy
No audio devices
behind the microphone.
Yep, I think we are good now. OCV, can you confirm that? Can you hear me? Hello?
Anybody there?
Can you hear us, guys? really low.
Okay.
Okay, we can fix that. Better now? Should be better now.
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something there that we
No.
cannot
Is it better now, guys?
Oh.
I guess it's better. Just looking into more settings. Yep.
Okay, someone's got yeah.
Okay. I think then we are good to go.
again.
Yep. Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. Thank you.
We'll rewind quickly.
Sorry.
Sorry about
Blame it on Avi. Him.
Yeah.
He should have set it up.
I was busy sharing posts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had all day to sort it out. Okay. Start again. Go back to the Control F. That's it. Okay.
Yep.
Right, start again.
So yeah, we were talking about Raji's architecture.
Yes.
Yeah. So we wanted to put India on the map. Especially we wanted to show the beautiful architecture of India, which was not seen in any games till now.
Till now.
With Lost Legacy, we have some Indian architecture out there now. So we wanted to show the beautiful, intricate design of Indian architecture in hand painted style. So we had few games in our mind which we were really inspired by, like Journey being first.
Yeah.
We love the art style of Journey, so we wanted to do something in the style of Journey, yet like Indian architecture. And also we love this games like Transistor,
Bastion.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so
with the hand painted.
yeah, hand painted art style. So we wanted to,
I mean, effectively, you've got
Yeah.
that Dota 2 as well.
yes,
So that's pretty good.
and then what else?
I can't really think of my head right now.
Yeah. So we had a lot other games, but yes, we wanted to show the Indian architecture. So that's where we started initially collecting all these images, mood boards of all. You can see all the different types of arches. Yeah.
Another nice one.
So
I mean, to get all this kind of detail into the geometry would
Yeah.
be absolutely insane. And obviously, we've employed the likes of ZBrush
yeah.
when we've been going into that, and you know, it's been a really nice journey. But before we go into the 3D element of this, we actually did initially start out with the
With
2D.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, as you can see here, you know, the absolute insane detail and the craftsmanship
Yeah.
that you know they employed all this throughout Rajasthan, which is where our true inspiration
Yeah.
came from, and you know the grandeur of it all. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Just like, look at all that, it's gorgeous. You know the lighting, you know, obviously, you know, I say lighting, but it's all, you know, the ambience, the global illumination. These are all the things that we're trying to capture within the game engine. So when we decided, we actually decided we were going to use Unity to start off the project, weren't we?
Yeah. So since we wanted to do hand painted art style, and we were so inspired by Transistor.
Yeah.
So we wanted to start off with 2D, and we wanted to do the tile system. So if you can see here, this is how we initially started. So
Yes. So this little one here is the size of Raji, and this is your average height. I've actually put here it's 1.8 meters tall, but in Unreal it's 1.9. And we just constantly use these to gauge scale throughout. And all this lot here is actually rendered. So we created this. I was creating all the geometry in Max, and then I was rendering it out, and then I was handing this over to Shrew, who was going to paint all over it. And so you can see, we're trying to get as much detail in as we can, and that's the beauty of the renders, because you'll be able to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about polygon count. You can just make it, and all it is, it's just a rendered texture. The PNGs.
Yeah, and you can go crazy with painting all the details into that one particular tile, if you say. So if this was actually just the arch was just one tile and the base was another tile, so we could sort out the layers, so different backgrounds.
Just overlap the layers, so this is what we created from Avi, because he gave us a very basic layout. And I'll just show you this. This is the first iteration, the first look of the level. Now, you're probably wondering why it's blue, all these different colours, and that's because Avi wanted to have different tile sets. Now, this is obviously a screenshot taken from Max, and these all denote the different areas and different sizes that Avi wanted, and then therefore I was able to break down those in the different tile sets and to start rendering them out. So here's a more detailed shot at that, and as you can see, look at the poly count of these steps; they are pretty insane. Excuse me, so you don't really have to worry about that. But let me just zoom out again. So this is an example of a walkway, a pathway, and I think I've got these segments here. But you can see the one segment here with the indentation. That's one piece. We've got another piece here, bridging the two, and then we've got corner pieces. So I can use that in both ways. But I actually had to render them out.
Yeah.
In
so it's
all
like
8.
All the degrees.
Yeah. And
so these are few examples of the tiles we had.
so I'll just zoom in. So as you can see, the building up from left to right. So we've got the archway, then we've got the base for the arch, and then there's the base of the arch on another base. And so all these component pieces, like Shrew was saying just now, you have to build them out and stack them. It's like layers in Photoshop.
But
and let me just scoot out a bit more.
So the painted one. And so you can show this, the layers one on top of the other.
Yeah. So this was the Avi when he took all these pieces together, and he was using them in ways that I hadn't even thought of. So hence we've got all these. He's like marked out all these areas which were causing conflict or errors, and then I had to go in there and model them accordingly, or I had to start re-rendering or remodeling the corrections. And it's a really time-consuming process. I mean, for instance, here we can see all these wall sections. We've got this 3x6, and then we've got the stairwell. So you're hiding. It's all on different layers, so it can get quite complicated very quickly. And so if you imagine those, and then being hand painted as well, from Shrew, it's it's going to be a lot of work. Again, the various areas that are going on there, and then where else? Can we zoom out a bit? Right, before we go on to this one, let's just go over to these guys. So again, you've got more elemental pieces together, and just to give you an example of how all this fared. We've got the arch, the infamous arch, right? The signature piece, right? And now I'll just move these away so then you can see the build-up of how we did this. It's 4 pieces.
Yep.
And those would actually be hand painted by Shrew, and this is an example
What we start doing.
of what we did, or what we were looking at with Unreal Unity.
Yeah.
Sorry, oh, not Unreal. So this is the detail at which Shruti was able to get to, and just complement the whole design.
Yeah.
So that's what we first started out doing. When did we start doing this?
Long back.
What was it? About November time last year.
Yeah.
And then we took.
Then you did that test in Unreal.
Oh yeah,
Changed
yeah,
the
yeah,
fate
yeah.
of
We this was like in Unreal. We just grabbed all the assets, threw them into the engine, just to check, and then also we just changed the camera, so it was isometric. And then we took the brave decision
To
switch from
2D to 3D.
from 2D to 3D, and it's been an interesting journey. So that's that, and we are going to go into Unreal in a bit. We just
Yes.
wanted to show you the whole process of
Like how we
how
started.
we did it.
How we started from a point where we just had tiles, but with the problem with tiles was like if we painted one thing with all the details, and we again had to re-render it if we needed to change something and go there and paint again. So that was kind of like would have been a lot more work, knowing how small the team size is. So we kind of thought to switch to 3D, and 3D would give us a lot more other options to explore what we wanted to achieve art style wise. So so that way we thought to switch.
Yeah, it's just a natural progression, because it's like, our tech artist is strong in Unreal. We both have. Hello, Voxy.
Hello.
I think there's a problem with voice. We are only hearing 2 voices, one after the other. I think it's the streaming. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on. Just give me 2 seconds. I'll shout Avi.
I think he's gone down there.
Has he?
Hello.
Oh, well, I'll just have a look anyway. Avi, come here. Still got problems with
He's-
it.
He's saying that I think there's a problem with voice. Yeah.
Is it?
2 voices, one after the other.
Oh.
Okay.
Is it because streaming thing?
I don't know.
Why do we have?
Is it the audio? Yeah. Is that better?
Should be.
Hello.
Is it better now, guys?
We had actually desktop audio on as well, so we just turned it off.
Okay, alright. Have we got to start all over again?
Seems to be better. Cool.
Can we continue, or do we start all over again?
Please no. We're watching. Yay! Okay, cool. Alright, lovely.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Pop.
Pop Bots. Okay. Interesting name.
Continue.
We will.
Oh, Harsha.
Hey, it's Pierre. Hey, lovely. Bonjour.
Okay. So
All right,
let's
okay.
continue.
Okay, so it's going from the initial process. So we've gone from the 3D, and it was a natural progression really, because we're all 3D artists.
Yeah.
Shrew has gone to the dark side. She's in Maya. I'm Max. And then our tech artist, he's Max, bless him, but he's had to go to the dark side as well with Maya. And so it's all good fun with that.
Yeah.
And go.
Okay. So we initially started with these sketches. So Ian did some of his, which he didn't complete. And
Thank you.
and then, so we took that block out of the tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So alright, Shrew's just getting used to pure ref.
Yeah. I hate
That's it. That was my drawing.
it. Yeah.
Go on, scoot in.
Yeah. So.
So we basically used Avi's layout, and then it was like, okay, so what do we want in this? You know, what's the story? How are we going to tell the story from start to finish for this particular one? Where is it set, etc., etc. So when we'll show you another mood board in a minute within the mood board. But this is my interpretation from the actual the very beginning, where Raji will appear, and then you're thinking, well, where she come from, how she gotten there. The story thickens and with a great plot.
Also the story behind the environment itself,
Yes.
like where she is and what's happening here and what happened before this, and basically to build the environment storytelling.
Yeah,
and
it's
what's-
just the storytelling with the environment, and
Yeah.
also it's like to make it seamless all the way through. So what software is this?
It's pure ref.
This one's pure ref. Just look it up. It's great for just throwing all your images into it. We'll just zoom out so you can just see.
How big it is.
So that's our mood board for this particular talk, and you can zoom in, and let's just press spacebar for to zoom in quickly. Yeah. So you can keep zooming and zooming and zooming and zooming. It's great. So hopefully no one's going to vomit.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, for instance, when I was sketching this out, this area here, it took me a little while to do, and my particular rendering techniques are, I don't know, potentially take me a lot longer to do than Schroeder's. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. Okay. And then Shrew.
Let's go to the mood board first.
The mood board.
that's-
Sorry. Okay.
that-
This one.
Yeah, that
Alright.
one. Yeah.
So let's scoot in there.
Yeah.
So as you can see, we got all the images that we wanted to, and then of interest that we wanted to put there.
So yeah, basically whichever area we thought like how it should look like, and it would draw influence from whichever part of fort it should be. It's mostly on the rooftop, so the corner walls or the broken rocks or the trees or branches, whatever we wanted for that particular area, we put all the reference around. So if you can see around the area, so the atmosphere, the kind of trees, the mood that we wanted for the start
Yeah.
of the level, so we kind of put all the influence, the kind of tiles that we wanted,
The textures,
the
basically,
area, the
colours.
rocks around that area, the trees, then the architectural details, then
I mean, it also there's a lot of influence. Just go back to that image there with the red woman there. I mean, that's taken from No Hero, and so it's like films that we actually utilise for influence as well. So it's yes, we've got Pinterest, we've got the internet, and we've got everyone's photography, but also utilising movies as well. And they'll spring to mind. Go think, oh yeah, well look at the colours. How can we play with the colours? For this particular part of the environment.
and then also this particular section of the area, as you've seen in our environment video, is more of a ruin area. So we had all the different influences of architecture and the sculpture that would come in this particular area.
Yeah.
These are the particular influence. So we have for the whole level.
Yeah, for the whole level, there we basically mapped out everything to a point. We mapped out what we wanted it to look like, or it's like, okay, well, we're going to take a little bit from here, we're going to take a bit from here. Let's have that there.
Yeah.
So effectively, it's like a big menu, and it's like, okay, and this is like the pot, and we're going to throw everything into it, what we want it to look like, And for instance, we've got these great big doors here.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely delicious to look at. The detail, the vibrant colour in there, and you've got the elephants, effectively kissing with their tusks, and the insane amount of detail is it's just phenomenal, and I think it's something. It's like you can't take for granted. And we all do, from all different cultures. We take, our particular culture, the architecture, whatever it may be, for granted. And then until it's actually lost, then that's when you'll be trying to regain it and bring it back in a different way. Because all the workmanship that's gone, all the hours made from the Rajasthan craftsmen, is going to be lost one day. It's all going to be gone.
Yeah.
And it's just phenomenal, and it's just a shame that all these old techniques will be gone. Anyway, so go back to your press spacebar. That's it.
So that was my version of interpretation of the arena. So this were just few sketches that I did. But we shared this image in our team, and we had a discussion about, we didn't quite want too much of a tile looking.
No, because it'd be like too similar to other games.
Yeah. And
we wanted it to make it more organic.
Yeah. So the land, these playable area would actually be like broken
terrain. It's like where invasions happened, perhaps, or just nature's taken over.
Yeah.
So
we did quite stay true to this kind of layout and the mood and feel of it with the sculpture and the kind of what we wanted to achieve here, but we just didn't want the kind of tile looking breaking down of the playable area, so we just moved on to more organic land surface there. So we did few more sketches.
You did?
Yeah. This is for more of the temple arena, which you'll see later.
Scoot it, zoom in. Zoom in, right, come in. So just looking at Shrew's work here, she's got a very distinctive style in itself, but it's like we're looking at all the details. We got the peacock there, the parts of the trees coming in these beautiful archways, and if we were to actually render out those in 2D, it would just be insane.
Especially with this, just the manpower that we have right now.
There's only two of us.
Yeah.
And so therefore, like you're saying, we took the decision early on to go into 3D, because effectively once you've got one column, you can rotate that many times, and that many times equals a different column, because you can rotate it 45 degrees or 15 degrees each time, and you've got a different column. Because if you duplicate that column 7 times and it's just in one straight line, you're going to notice a pattern appearing, and that's where you've got the texture. But if you rotate them every so often, you've got efficiency, and it's going to look different.
Thank you. This dash Uber.
That's some fantastic work. Dash
Thank
Uber.
you.
Nice one. Okay, sorry,
So,
distracted.
Yeah.
And just go back to your other one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where like, we were putting like two together, and if you just go left, just go left. So we've got this beautiful little courtyard here, and that's leading to, you know, through these massive doors, and they would be massive. I know it looks really tiny right now, and then just into this splendor. I mean, this will be.
Yeah, that's more of like, that's what I thought of being the glass, the colored glasses in Rajasthan architecture that we see, that we'll have them there and the light passing through,
Yeah.
so it'll create a beautiful.
Yeah. So just imagine, you know, the light
Yeah.
coming through there
Yeah.
onto the actual, you know, the stone,
Mm.
and you know,
Marble.
or marble,
Yeah.
whichever, and it's just going to be insane. And we will be able to replicate that in engine.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do all that stuff. And then the garden area.
Yeah.
We really wanted to do this, but we've had to, due to time constraints, we've had to take some very difficult decisions, and we've had to decide what we can do, what's feasible, up until you know, various milestones that we've actually set. And you know, unfortunately, this place it won't be built.
For the full game, it will be.
Yeah, but for the time being.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Okay.
shall we get to the?
To zoom out, what else? We're going to look on this one.
I think we can go into the block out now.
Yep. Control F. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the block out that we did for our prototype in
Oh.
Unreal.
Very talented 3D
Designer.
designer.
Thank you.
So this is his block out, which I took into Maya, and from which I started building my pieces. So this is my kit.
Just explain further about the kit.
Yeah. So actually initially I was quite stuck with this modular pieces because I wanted the unique architecture, and yet I didn't want things to repeat. Yet we had the time constraint to make certain pieces and have to use them intelligently. So I was kind of like in a position where it was a puzzle I couldn't solve. So that's where Ian came in and helped me out. So we did stick to the initial sketches. So we started off with this temple arch that Ian made in Max. So yeah. So I made, so most of my influences were
Control F. Where are we going?
where's the ruin stuff? Okay. So if you see here, so when I was building that particular area, so these are the few things that I was looking into, and these were the influences from which I built few of my modular pieces. So if you can see here.
Just zoom in further.
So I looked at these particular top pieces, which kind of like I would think of our game arena, where I had these corner pieces that I took influence from to build, and the side columns and the top sculpture bits that I took influence from.
Yeah. There's just so much to take
Yeah.
from, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
it's actually quite overwhelming when you actually see all this.
Yes.
I mean, and then look at the scale. Just you see these things here, but you've got the people here, the tourists,
Yeah.
and you've got the size of these things,
Yeah.
right? And the actual the time it must have taken to carve all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's also like they're so unique that you hardly find any repeats. So
Yeah, unlike the game.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just beautiful work. It really is. Hello, game.
Hello. Okay. So let's get back to this. So I built a whole kit. So if you
Just go
see,
slow on your navigation, you get a bit fast.
okay, I'm just used.
Okay.
So there was this particular piece. Then I have this corner walls. That's mostly the straight wall that I used, almost around the whole ruin area. Then I have another corner piece, which sits basically where you have the ends of a platform like this. Then this one is similar, this same piece. Then I had a sculpture bit like this which sits on top, and
It's just utilising it. It's just like a glorified Lego,
yeah,
isn't it?
yes,
So therefore, you can just you just scoot into some of the arches that you've done there.
yeah. So these were the different kinds of arch that I made. So we could utilize them, just break up the monotony with some foliage or different kinds of roots. So these I did for the sculpture, like the walls with the sculpture on it, like we saw on the mood board to have. So this was one of the pieces that I got from that particular arena. Then there were like these broken tiles and rocks
So you
that
can,
could
you can see
sit
how
potentially.
basic the geometry is,
Yeah,
and then it's like and then taking that into another software
yeah,
such as ZBrush, and being able to manipulate it and make it actually a lot more make it a lot more complex, and it's just literally
yeah, utilizing those one piece of arch that I made. I just made 3 of them, so it could be one broken in the middle with the same pillar. Actually, it's just one broken one, which is half broken. So it's just basically few basic geometry that has few variation here and there. We can make a whole environment just built from
just
that.
from those elements
Yeah,
and pieces.
and then there's these rock areas that would sit at the bottom of the whole arena.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing. You're going from the ruins, and then eventually it's going to go into a
Yeah.
fort area. When we go through some huge, well done. Sorry. From some huge doors that we'll have later, that that you'll be seeing on some other videos, and it's just that this makes our lives so much easier when you create a kit, when you plan the kit out, and also it's like what can snap to what, and in Unreal or in any game engine you have a grid, so therefore you can snap all the element pieces together. A game engine is just literally that. It's just like we're the fuel. So whether it's design, animation, audio, coding, and artists from all kinds of vehicle, weapons, etc. And we are the fuel. So we're putting that into the game engine, and then the game, we utilize that as a tool, and we're able to move whatever we want. We can't model in it per se. That's like for Maya and Max and other programs. But what we do there is we dress it up. We dress up the scene.
Yeah.
And to just beautify it really.
Yeah.
And then therefore, but we have limitations all the way. We can't just put everything in there what we want. So as you can see with Shrew's work here, let me just zoom into that one there. Just zoom into that. So as this one, as you can see, there's a lot of edge loops in there.
Yeah.
And for optimization, when it comes to the actual in-game asset, we'll rip all that out. That won't be present.
All the supporting edge loops will be gone.
Yeah.
Basically.
And
yeah, this is now just for me to take it into ZBrush and sculpt over it and get all the beautiful detail and sculpture on it, and then bake everything into the low poly. So what I'll do is next I'll show you a little sneak peek into our engine.
Yeah, or do you want to go to ZBrush and show them that?
I'll show them the area and then I'll show them the process
Okay.
required to build that. So if you see, this
Just
is
explain down here as well.
yeah. So this is all the library of asset that I've been using, that I've created for the environment. Basically, the arch, the base, these walls that I just showed you,
Just
the basic
grab them
geo.
and move it and just show
Yeah.
them.
So
There you go.
if you see this is the wall that I just showed you, that's round one. This is the straight wall that I've been using. So as you can see, these are all built from those basic geometry that I have been made.
Yeah.
So
And the wonderful thing with this as well is that it is all the textures are projected onto the low geometry, and it's just wonderful to see your work and the workflow. Albeit it is quite tedious at times, and it's like you've got to use this software to this software. I mean, there's like several softwares that we're using. Ideally, we want to minimise it to 4 or 5 if we can, because it's just the process is quite long, and therefore, but once you've got the textures and you bring them in, and you apply them to the shaders, and then you create your materials, and you apply your materials to the geometry. This is the end result of it, and it just makes it so much worth it. And I mean, I remember Shrew just coming.
it's all the reward after the sleepless nights.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
there's a lot of effort gone into this.
And knowing that we have a limited amount of time to finish everything, and so it's a lot of work for a small team.
It is a lot. It's like in total there's about, how many are there? 8 of us?
Yeah, but
7.
artists is just
Artists, well, it's me and Shrew primarily, and we have
a tech artist.
with a tech artist, and we've basically freelanced a little bit of work out, and but it's down to us two now, really, to get it all done.
So what I'll show you is the process, how I would create from the base to the ZBrush and to the texture dense. So if you can see, this is an arena, Trishul arena.
Yeah, Trishul arena.
Yeah. And this is where Raji gets her Trishul. So these are all those basic archways, and just the same.
Yeah. So effectively, just by moving a couple of objects here and there, you can just change the look of something instantaneously. It's that quick. The results are just fantastic.
So I'll show you the process of this particular piece of geometry. How did I achieve this particular one from base geo to texturing to bring it into the engine. So this was the base geo that I created for the Trishul grunt area. That's the base on which the broken Trishul statue is there, if you've noticed. And this is the corner piece, this is the arena, and these are the side few broken rocks. As I would have imagined, it's more destroyed. Some of the corner pieces would just fall. So I thought of having a few of broken rocks and broken landmass there, so that we could, we could see like more how much damage nature has caused to that such an old structure. So from there I took it to ZBrush. So basically so we wanted to have the beautiful designs, so which is like an alpana or a mandala design on the landmass, because if you look into the Indian architecture, we have such beautiful tile designs on them, like intricate details into them on stones, some encarved, beautiful designs. So I did wanted to incorporate that. So certain arenas which is of importance, I wanted to have those particular design there, because even when you have a temple, in front of the temple or in front of goddess, you'll have a small, like have a design made in front of the god. It's like, so I did wanted to incorporate those kind of things into the architecture. So I would make an alpha of that particular design that I would feel suitable for that arena, and then sculpt the rest of the surface detail. So
but you projected that alpha onto that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would, so this is just was a basic block as you've seen in the block out, and from there I've just sculpted the rocks and details. So usually I use the orb flatten.
Yeah, it's wonderful tool. It really is.
Or either the clay build up tool, or we can do a separate whole stream on how I actually paint it, because it's quite a long process. So I can do a separate stream on that, how I go about sculpting and actually painting the surface in texture.
Because what's really nice is like the whole the uniqueness of and you've seen like the brush strokes in there, and it is quite painterly.
Yeah.
With
so I wanted to keep it very rough and rugged, yet have to stylize with the surface having some semi-realistic look. So from that I would again, like this ZBrush high mesh, I would take it back to Maya, and so this is where I do my remesh, like build the low poly. So what do I do? If you see, there is my high mesh in there.
Can you just hide the low with low geometry?
Wait 1 second. This is, it takes a bit of time.
Just bring in those two.
It'll take a bit of time.
Oh god.
So it's quite.
Kids are gonna die.
So that's the high poly. I'm just gonna hide it quickly.
Yeah,
so
before everything crashes.
Yeah, before everything crashes. So that's my low mesh. So that's what I built. So this is fairly of around 3,839 tries count. So that's quite a good low poly. This I have almost all the information I need, and we do need a lot of this geo on top because of the shader. And
well, is the particular visual effect that we wanted to get, wasn't it?
So since this is after the rain and we wanted to have the wet water puddles on the land, the arena, so we needed that extra poly on the surface so that we could paint the water puddles into this, which uses the height map as well as the vertex count of that particular geo to get the details in there.
Painting.
Yeah. So
just go into Unreal and then you just show that show that effect.
So all these water details, the puddles that you see.
Zoom in.
is
Yeah.
because of the vertex paint and
Yeah,
the height map that we are utilizing. So, yeah. So then I would bake. Okay, from this I would unwrap and I would bake all of that, and so get all my basic maps. So usually,
Could you use the shader and paint some water and show them?
yeah, I'll do that once I show them the process of how I make this. So like I said, it's a long process, so I'll do another stream of doing one particular asset from scratch to putting it in game. So I usually use a AO map, a normal map, and then an object space normal. And what I do is I make a base map of all the maps that I get. So it's kind of like gives me a basic value map for me to paint. So that value map is I'll show this number. We are running out of time.
Well, it's okay. I mean, we had a bit of a delay,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Yeah.
So this value map is usually that I make from the AO and and the normal. So what I do is in my normal map, I go into the channels. I usually take the green channel.
Because that's
and
up.
yeah, the up detail. So I kind of get a nice highlights and a good detail of, you know, I already have the details
Really
of
nice, that.
all my highlights and shadows in there, so it kind of gives me hello.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So it kind of gives me the detail of the highlight and shadow, which is a good information for me to start painting. So I don't need to do something from scratch, so which is already there.
Just imagine trying to do that by hand in Photoshop.
Yeah.
It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Hello, Shannon. Riker.
Okay, so that information I already get from this. So what I do is I usually play with the layers and I utilize that green channel pasted on my
That cavity.
no I paste it on my AO map. So therefore if I do this and
Just got your channels got there. So just copying it.
yeah. So
What do you do? Overlay it?
yeah, I see which works better for me to get a nice. Usually I
Multiply it perhaps?
parallelize it.
Multiply it and then you just reduce the opacity. Yeah. There you go. Sorted. Looks
So
nice.
yeah, we kind of already have a base to paint from. So this kind of makes my process a lot easier and quicker. So I have all the information that I need to paint all the details.
Stunning.
Yeah, so it's actually the kind of like helping me the new process with all the maps, and I don't have to paint any detail from scratch
Riker is bish.
after so long.
I know.
Yeah. So what I've done for this particular ruin area, so like I said, I'll do another stream of how I go about painting a particular geo, because that's quite a time-taking process. So I usually I use Quixel. So I usually I have a material ready which I use for the ruin area that you've seen in the engine. So for every particular area or that architecture, like for the teaser architecture, I made a particular stone texture, so material which had all the layers of decay or moss or things that I needed, and then I go into the painter side of it and start painting all the details in
Are
there.
people getting this feed, or is it stuck?
I don't know.
Okay. Just
Can you guys see the stream? Can you guys see what I can do, what I'm doing in Photoshop? Just type it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Alright.
okay. Yeah.
It's alright. It's just frozen on our screen,
Yeah, so we thought you can't see it.
so we're just
okay.
talking to the computer, like.
So yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
So that's the kind of result that would get diffuse. So basically I paint in those little details of moss, and so I have the stone texture. From there I just paint in all the smaller details that I need, or if I'm going to implement some side borders, that I paint that in. So basically that's how I go about painting the land surface. And then
So it's basically, you can see the process. I mean, it's like, this is a very, very dumbed down version of what we do to create the assets. But if we were to record what we do, it would be hours, absolute hours.
Yeah.
And for each element, that's within the actual environment.
Yeah, and then to get a better information of normal map or AO, what I do is I use the old map that I baked, and then I bake the new map from the diffuse itself, and then I overlay it, and I have a new normal map which has the other moss detail on it with the new normal map.
Yeah.
So this is
details. That's the old one. That's the brand spankers.
yeah, that's the old one and that's the new one. Sorry.
Sorry, do you want some water?
No, it's okay. So that's the new normal map which will go into the engine. So what we do is we use 3 maps to put into the engine. So we have a very good shader that we use, that our tech artist has made for us. So it gives us the hand painted look, as well as we have all the PBR settings to it. So we have different sliders through which we can reduce the effect of the normal or AO or the curvature into it. So we make a mixed map in which we use the green channel and the blue channel. So the blue channel has the AO map, and the green channel has the information of the roughness, which actually gives us the information of when the light shines into it. You have the wet surface, you get a beautiful detail of the light reflecting.
Or, for instance, in this one, it's like, with actual rocks as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you get all the minerals,
Yeah.
so you can actually see, the different
Yeah.
reflections from that.
So it kind of like with hand painted, you have a beautiful PBR setting that actually works really good for a game. So let's get into Unreal. So if I open just this, so
What are you doing? Just going into opening up?
yeah,
Okay.
the material.
Okay, just double click on that.
Yeah, so this is the material inside the engine. So we have, if you can see, the slot of the diffuse map is there, the mix map which I just showed, and the normal map. So we also have slot of water where we paint the water puddles in, and
Yeah, there's got
so
the
it
various
using
textures for that as well.
yeah,
the alpha textures.
it is using a mask of like a cloud texture. So we have a slot for kind of like a sand or a dust if you want to paint in more details.
Yeah,
in
so
there.
basically just like blend between the two.
Yeah, So we wanted to have like not to paint everything into that one particular diffuse map. So we wanted to blend between different texture and make one geometry which can have unique varieties throughout the game. So hence we had all these different parameters and things added to the shader.
Yeah.
So okay.
Can you just go back to the main area over here? No, the left. Yeah. Just and then just get in there and then just right. So then you can see the specular and the roughness.
Yeah. So this is what the roughness gives you, that nice little. So this information that you get is from.
Yeah, the roughness part. And also, okay, and then you've also got, the areas like, the puddles and so on.
Yeah.
So
here. So that's the landmass that I've used. So what we do is, so I have this particular geometry here. So in the shader itself, open it. We switch on the water puddle, we add the puddle texture which we are using and the mask, and we just simply go in here into painting, select color, like how between white and gray, which so how much do you want the water puddle to be visible, and kind of like so I can just go in and paint the water puddles there. So that's how we can make the authentic. Yep.
Absolutely.
So let's.
And also, what's really nice is be able to change the actual colour of the water as well.
Yeah.
So you can actually, you can like be some different, muddy red or blue, for instance, depending on what we really want it for.
So let's show you a new place that you've not seen yet. Yeah. So this whole thing, this whole bridge is made from 2 pieces of geo that I've made. And this is the arch that I was showing you in the basic geo. This is from the same one, I just save it out as broken different pieces, and this is from the same railing that I break it down into one whole piece, one broken one, then it's just the same. Yeah. And we have different foliage that we can do another stream of. That's a whole. So that's how I populate and beautify this whole arena. And this is the same arch.
Column,
yeah, that's the column that sits between them.
Oh yeah, that's the arch from the
and that's the arch from the temple arch area.
So we basically utilised one piece of geometry and broke it down several times.
Yeah.
So it's just been efficient and being able to know what to use and where.
So here she is.
Yeah.
Running around. Okay, I'm stuck now.
Cheers, Voxy.
Thank you.
A lot of blood, sweat and tears have gone into this.
Oh, look.
Oh, hang on. She's using the force now.
Okay.
You're giving all the game away. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Avi will kill me.
I know. Yeah. She never dies, Shannon.
She's demigod. She will. But yeah, do you guys have any question, or do you want to talk about the lighting?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to nip back to the mood board. We had specific ideas of what we wanted. We wanted it. Actually, the brief from Avi was to be around about 5 o'clock in the morning. And if anyone's been up that early, you'll notice that there's no directional light because the sun, well, it depends on what time the sun's rising, but it's the sun is below the horizon, so you get no directional light, and that is alive. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. And so from that point of view, the lighting would look a little bit like this. Well, not like this. It's that's not a good example. More like this bottom left corner here. Okay. And also it depends on, like, what we wanted to have in the environment. Okay. All right.
I don't think so. We can do much.
No, we can't do anything about that, I'm afraid. It's probably Mumbai with all the water. They're underwater, unfortunately. So we wanted a very early morning start to this, and to be able to get the warmth, but also the coldness within the light. And within the morning lights, you got the very light blues, as opposed to in the evenings where it's like, you've got the purples and the reds, where you got a lot of warmth going through. But it's more like, as soon as the light starts coming up in the morning, it's normally around, like a yellow, bright yellow blue colour. So we loved this particular image here, and then as soon as we read that volumetric lighting was going to be put into Unreal 4.16, I went mad with it, and you'll soon see. I did a few examples with it all, and this was the test. This was what we released about 3 months ago, wasn't it? Our first environment.
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to see, what people thought, and then and then after that, I'm not a lighting artist. All right, I'm just going to put it there now. And then what I did is I had to look into lighting for about 3 days and look at the technicalities of it. And there's so much involved in Unreal. It is frightening.
I think we both have learned a lot with this project, and we are still learning because we have to wear a lot of hats in this project.
God,
yeah.
Lots of hats, spinning loads of plates.
Yeah.
And then we're every team member, in many regards, we're helping each other out. We're getting feedback from each other. It's like the VFX artist, not one person says yes. I mean, it's channeled through one person, so you get a single voice, but you get all Manchu,
So
the animator, who's like coming up with ideas.
Yeah, because even if Ian is doing the characters or I'm doing environments, we always helping each other out. Like if you're stuck somewhere, or we always, because we have our artist blocks, so it's always a fresh eye that helps you to look at.
Yeah, because it's like when you look at something for too long, you can't see.
Yeah.
You can't see the errors, you can't see the faults. But whereas someone comes up with a fresh eye, then they'll go, what is this, and it's also been open. Let people been open to all of this. So these are some of the examples that I was messing about with the lighting in Unreal. And one that I really liked. It's Pure Ref. Pure Ref. I'll type it for you.
It's already, somebody has sent a link up
Pure.
there in the chat.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have.
Someone has already
Yeah.
sent.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And the one that we really wanted to go with was this one. This is did we ever release this one? I don't think we did.
No, this is shot just with us.
This was just me messing about, and I wanted that haze. I wanted more haze in there, But the reason why we didn't release it is because it was getting too hazy and people were like going, would the gameplay affect that? But what you can see here is like you can see like the effects of the shadow being cast.
That's the actual morning look of
Yeah.
things.
But unfortunately you can't have something like where is it? You can't have something like this in an isometric game. And so because you're always at a particular angle, so something as sensational, absolutely agree, and something as sensational as this with the lighting is very hard to achieve in the isometric because purely of the angle of the camera. But there's this one. This is the one that I really wanted to have in game. But it's a little bit too
much. So Ian has the habit of going too much with everything, so we have to sometimes pull him down.
Dial me back.
Yes.
Put the reins on.
Yes.
I went bonkers like with all this stuff here. It's like let's be godlike, And then eventually I want to have like Raji in there with the shadow. I thought it'd be awesome. And but you can see this is just two lights in the scene, a directional and a skylight, and it just grounds it so well. And the buildings in the background, that is just a HDRI image.
Yeah.
It's just very, very simple. But yeah, it's 3 days of looking at tutorials, and we came up with something that was half decent.
I think.
Eventually. Hello. And that's about it really from my side, from the lighting. I know it's I can go over it with you on another stream, but I'd hate to bore you. How would you pronounce your name there?
I think it's Da Vinci Man.
Ah! God! Hello! Yeah. So from this piece, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of geometry. Those two.
Just one.
No, the assets. No, that one's 2. It's a duplicate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's duplicate of the stairwell, and just from those couple of assets that we actually created, we just be able to. You can create a whole bloody level with all that one. And because somebody did, didn't they?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was. But as you can see, once you've like figured out the lighting and how that works, it is just it's sensational really. Just play with it. And I think I was up till 4 in the morning doing this. There you go. Godlike. Yeah. Raji comes out. Cinematic. Bring it on. Alright, okay.
Okay, does
So-
anyone have any questions?
Any questions, guys? This is like a really quick overview of our
Or
process.
if you want anything to be talked about in detail, we can do a separate stream for that.
Yeah. So a lot of research has gone into all of this, and a lot of to and fro in, pulling hair out, designer blocks, both art and design. And it's just amazing. It's like from what we started with, all this to what we have now. It's just really nice to actually go back.
Planning for the Kickstarter.
When are we?
When are we planning for the Kickstarter?
Well, it's probably first half of November. We have a date, but
Not telling you.
yeah,
not
not
yet.
telling it.
Not yet.
So we will start a 30-day countdown on our Facebook, Twitter, and on our website. So you will know the date exactly in few days from now.
And that's where our eyes will look darker and darker
It
and
already
darker.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it, really. Anything else, guys? Just let us know. We're on Discord as well, so if you got any questions, please join us there.
Yeah, please join the Discord community, and we'll try to stay in touch as long as we can. Totally supporting it. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Love you. But let's put India on the dev map. That's the mandate, isn't it? Right?
Truly is does.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to move that anymore.
Okay.
Are we done?
We're done?
We're done.
Sit back. It's
done.
final bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all of you guys for all the comments.
Yeah, and thank you for helping us out sort the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
There's
you,
a-
Thank you, Avi.
Don't thank me. Okay,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
All right. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.